G'day. Hello, my name's Justin Porter. Today's date is the 12th of May 2026, and today I want to discuss evolution with ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, a lot of you ex-Jehovah's Witnesses believe in creation. You believe in Adam and Eve, and tonight I just want to discuss why Adam and Eve is a myth and evolution is a scientific fact. Now, let me start by talking about a human fetus. 9 months to turn you into a baby from your one cell. Now, in 9 months, there's 270 days. Now, if you were to take a photograph of a human fetus in your mother's womb, every day take 270 photos until you become a newborn baby, you will see that the human fetus goes from 1 cell, 2 cells, 4 cells, 8 cells, starts to look like a tadpole, starts to look like a baby dolphin, a baby pig, a baby giraffe. Animal fetuses and human fetuses look very similar. And in 270 photographs, 9 months of you when you're in your mother's tummy, you would see gradual changes. As you agree, life comes from life. Now, if we were to take a photograph of your mother, take a photo of your mother. Happy Mother's Day to everyone. Take a photo of your mother, then take a photo of your mother's mother, and her mother, and her mother. Take a photo of her mother, and I'm going about mothers, not men, patriarchal Bible. Let's talk about mums, right? Mum's Day. Take a photo of your great-great-grandmother, your great-great-great-great-grandmother. Now take 100 million photos of your mothers. You would see the changes going back. We'd start to look more ape-like than we do now. Now, humans are primates. Let me get this straight. Humans are primates, right? Primates don't have claws. They have fingernails. Primates have eyes in front of the head. All primates have very poor sense of smell. We have 40 rods in our eyes, colour rods in our eyes. Now, this is interesting. In Australia, we have the Australian funnel-web spider. It is only deadly. Google this if you don't believe me, because I just Googled it. Funnel-web spiders are only dangerous to primates and humans. So if my cat, Tommy, gets bitten by a funnel-web spider, he will not die. If your dog gets bitten by a funnel-web spider, he will not die. But a gorilla, a human being, a squirrel monkey, a chimpanzee, if they get bitten by a funnel-web spider, they will die. Funnel-web spiders are only fatal to primates because primates on their nerve ending, they have these special things only primates have on their nerve endings, and the funnel-web spider venom eats through that as a neurotoxin. Now, if you were to take photos of your great-great-great-great-great-great-mother a million generations back, there is change. And what drives evolution is mutations. Mutations. Now, most mutations are harmful. You get mutations of albinism, you get mutations of Down syndrome, you get mutations of epilepsy, you get mutations of someone having a bad liver, a mutation of somebody having a bad heart. You have mutations that make someone bald, more prone to be bald. You have mutations of premature grey hair. Most people in my family, we all went grey in our 20s. I went grey at 27. And these are mutations. Now, most mutations aren't good. Now, remember what you've got to remember with evolution. Evolution is not the survival of the fittest. That is not right. Evolution is the survival of the most sexually reproductive. So the more offspring you can have, your genes will survive, right? Now, if you have mutations, bad mutations, you will not reproduce children, right? Now, but some mutations are advantageous. For instance, when black people went to Europe, right, and dark skin wasn't very good in a cold climate, Africans have more albinos than any other children. So Africans have a lot of albino children. So albinos, like pale skin, was very good in a cold country where there wasn't much sun. Pale eyes, light hair, light skin, absorbs more vitamin D from the sun, and that was a healthier thing. You would live longer and you would get to reproduce. Now, natural selection, the difference between, now, I never understood natural selection, right? When I was a teenager at a Catholic school I went, they taught evolution at the Catholic school I went to in high school. Now, natural selection is the opposite of artificial selection. When they breed cats and dogs, just say dogs, when they breed dogs, right? You get sausage dogs, you get German Shepherds, you get Chihuahuas, you get Labradors, you get Afghans, all different types of dogs, all descended from the wolf. Right? So dogs, that's artificial selection. When dog breeders breed certain breeds of dogs, they'll choose traits. They breed with that dog breeds with that, because this is the type of dog we want. We want a good guard dog. We want a good guide dog. We want a good hunting dog. We want a good dog for sniffing out drugs. We want a dog that is good for this. So we will breed dogs with these traits. So these traits get passed on. Now that is artificial selection. When humans breed vegetables, cats, dogs, horses, that is called artificial selection because we're artificially doing it. Now natural selection, what natural selection is, it's when mutations occur naturally in nature. Mutations, damage to the DNA will cause a mutation, a variation, a slight change in variation. I'll give you a classic example. Now, human beings, we share 98.8% DNA with a chimpanzee and a bonobo. Now, if you want to know what a bonobo is, it's an ape. Bonobos evolved on the right side of the Congo River. Chimpanzees evolved on the left side of the Congo River. The river separated bonobos and chimpanzees. They look pretty much alike each other. Bonobos are a bit smaller. They're more petite-looking chimpanzees. Bonobos have a matriarchal society. Bonobos are very homosexual. When they have differences, they have sex. The bonobos have lesbian sex, homosexual sex. Now, I'm not gay. I'm a heterosexual man, but homosexuality is in bonobo apes. Look up a documentary on bonobo apes if you don't believe me. They're matriarchal society where the women are in charge, and when they have fights, they have sex with each other and things like that. They're anal sex, they scissor each other. Now, chimpanzees on the other side of the Congo River, they are a patriarchal society. They are the men are in charge. Chimpanzees are very violent. They will murder rival chimpanzees and other troops, steal their mango tree, and they're also cannibals. Chimpanzees are cannibals. They also eat colobus monkeys and they eat other chimps. and they will kill chimps from a different troop for their mango tree. Now, just so when you think of human violence and when you think of a human sexuality, and when you think, well, we're 98.8% with the chimpanzee, humans are, our DNA, and we're 98.8% with the bonobo. Chimpanzees are closer to us than they are to orangutans and gorillas. I think it's in the low 90s. Check it up on Google, what the DNA between a chimpanzee and orangutan is, or a chimpanzee and a gorilla. But we are closer to chimpanzees and bonobos than chimpanzees are to gorillas and orangutans. Now, apes don't have tails. All monkeys are apes and monkeys are primates. Apes don't have tails. Now, humans, we easily choke on food. Every year, so many people choke to death on food. A little bit of pie crust. You can breathe in a bit of pie crust, and it goes down your lungs, and you can choke to death. We evolved speech. We evolved language. Now, chimps and bonobos and the other apes have a certain language too. They do sign languages, noises, but we can actually speak and we can form language because of our vocal cords. The way our vocal cords have been evolved, we have speech. We can communicate with each other for speech, but we easily choke to death on food, where chimpanzees and bonobos, they cannot speak like humans can speak, but they don't choke to death on their food. They can choke on objects, yes. They can choke on an object that they might swallow, but they don't easily choke to death because humans, every year, so many humans die from choking to death on their food. Food goes down the air pipe, and that's because we have the speech, where it doesn't happen with chimps and bonobos. They don't choke to death on their food like we do. So does God love chimpanzees and bonobos more than humans? Because they don't choke to death on their food. So we have the ability to have language, but it's a handicap because we choke to death on our food, where chimpanzees and bonobos and gorillas don't choke to death on their food. But they can choke. If they were to swallow a bit of metal or something like that, yeah, of course, or a bit of glass they could choke, or something that, went in their mouth, yes, but they don't choke on their food like humans do. So as I said, does God love chimpanzees and bonobos more than humans now? And it's very interesting. So when you think, and you think, well, how do you explain the eye? How do you explain the eye? The eye. Now, well, I'll explain it. There is little worms, little grubs that have a pinprick hole where light goes in the pinprick. They have a very tiny brain, and all they see is a beam of light that stops them from bumping into objects. It's still an eye. It's a primitive eye, but it's still an eye, and it helps the worms and grubs navigate, like a pinhole camera in a shoebox. Now, how do we explain the eagle's eye? Eagles can see a mouse kilometres away. 2 kilometres up in the air, an eagle could see a mouse on the ground. Humans can't do that. So does God love eagles more than humans because he gave them better eyesight than we do? We have spiders that, like jumping spiders, have 2 big eyes, then 6 little eyes above their forehead. We have flies that have a different size eye, where little lenses. They see many pictures, I'm not too sure. So there's evolved all different types of eyes. Now, human eyesight isn't the best. It isn't the best. Interesting, we see an apple as red. A bee may see the apple as bluey yellow, a bee, because they have different eyes. We evolve different eyes. But for sight, we can still see, like a lot of the living things can see. Now, a lot of people say, well, a lot of people say, who leave Jehovah's Witnesses, look, if you have a church and a community, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. But what you've got to remember is evolution is a scientific fact. It's not a theory. It's not a theory, right? It's a proven scientific fact. And I first became an atheist in 1976 when I was 15, because I went to Christian Brothers High School, because I used to be a Catholic. I was born into an atheist family, but I became religious when I was about 9 because of the musical Jesus Christ Superstar. Who do they say that Jesus Christ Superstar, the musical, which came out in 1970 when I was 9, and I bought the record for $2 because they'd play the songs on the radio. I thought, I like those songs, and I'd ask about Jesus, and the kids at school would say, well, Jesus, I'm a Catholic, I'm a Church of England. And I said to my grandparents who were looking after me, well, I want to go to church too and learn about God. And my mum's in heaven because my mum died in 1962 at the age of 30. And I always hated God because God took her to heaven when I was only 1 year old and she was only 30. But I wanted to learn about God and things like that. But my big brother and sister and my family were not religious. They were agnostic atheists. Agnostic atheist, And so I never really had religion. I chose religion myself because my mum, I would have never chose religion if my mum didn't die when I was 1. She was only 30. I'd probably never become religious. But because of the Jesus Christ Superstar record, and people would tell me when I was a little kid, oh, your mum's gone to heaven. God took your mum. And I hated God. How dare you take my mum? I really did hate God, And I never really... And when I was about 15, I did become an atheist because at school, the Christian Brother teacher, we're doing science. And I put my hand up about Adam and Eve, and, and he said, oh, Adam and Eve was a myth. It was a myth. And evolution is true. And I thought, well, that doesn't make sense. So humans evolved, and then God tested them with the apple, No, Adam and Eve was a myth. And I thought, well, that doesn't make sense because wasn't that the apple? Wasn't that the start of original sin? Wasn't that the reason why Jesus died? To fix up what Adam did? I could work it out then. And I thought, well, if evolution's true, that pulls apart the Adam and Eve story. And I remember my auntie, around the dinner table, she said, you don't believe in Adam and Eve, do you, Justin? Adam and Eve is just Aesop's fables. And when I was a kid, my big brother and sister, who were a couple of years older than me, they would say, oh, you don't believe in God, do you, Justin? God's not real. And I said, oh, is God like Santa Claus? Yeah. Man in a white beard with a red suit, man with a long beard with a long white gown in the sky. And I thought, oh. And I remember my grandparents saying to my big brother and sister, Scott and Lisa, don't say that to Justin. Don't tell Justin that. And I thought, yeah, there is no God. There is no... So I was born into an atheist family. So I found religion because my mother died, And when I was 8 years old, my father committed suicide. My 38-year-old father committed suicide. But we're here to talk evolution. I'm going off track here. We're here. But when you look into evolution, in 1988, I was 27, living with my big sister, who was 3 years older than me, and she worked at the Garvan Institute of Medical Research, fighting cancer. She was a scientist, and she knew all about evolutionary biology, right? And what makes me really cranky about Jehovah's Witnesses is that they had this pale blue book with a hard cover, How Did Life Get Here, by Evolution or Creation? Remember that one? This was in about 1988, 89, 1990. And my sister was studying to be a microbiologist to fight cancer at the Garvan Institute, And without evolution, you cannot explain biology, right? And the interesting thing is that she was learning the truth. Evolution is the truth. And Jehovah's Witnesses came to my door with this pale blue book with a hard cover called How Did Life Get Here? Creation or Evolution. It was a book of lies. And they Watchtower had to take that book out of circulation because Watchtower misquoted evolutionary biologists and biologists on the facts in the book, you know. And Charles Darwin was right. Charles Darwin was right. Mutations drive evolution. Most mutations are bad, but when the environment changes, some mutations can be beneficial and they get passed on to the next generation. Now, there's so much scientists don't know, but just because we don't know something, we say, well, we don't know that one. God did it. God did it. No, there was a time when Jesus believed that epileptic fits were caused by demon possession. Yes, read the 4 Gospels. A man came up to Jesus with a mute spirit. Jesus said, deaf and mute spirit. Yeah, deafness. Now, we know deafness is not caused by deaf and mute spirits. We know epileptic fits aren't caused by demons. We know I used to suffer from sleep paralysis in my late teens and early 20s. Yeah, that's when you fall asleep, your brain paralyses your body so you don't act out your dream. Well, sleep paralysis is the opposite of sleepwalking. I would wake up in the middle of a dream and my body would still be paralysed and I couldn't move and I'd be in a dream, but I'd be wide awake. I used to think that was demons. And a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses believe that was demons, but it's not. I just didn't understand the medical science. Now I found out about the medical science. It's sleep paralysis. Your body paralyses you so you don't act out your dream, and you think the dream is demons and there's people in the room. The dream's happening in the room because you're wide awake, but your brain's still in dream mode and your body's paralyzed. It's not demon possession or demon attacks, but a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses and Christians believe it because they haven't educated themselves about evolution. Learn about evolution, give it a chance. Some of you have got your own YouTube channels and you still believe in Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve was a myth. There was no original sin. There was no first man and Adam and Eve, because there was never really a first human. Because if you look back at all those millions of photos of your mothers, some of them looked ape-like, but we are apes. Humans are primates. We are apes. We have a rotating shoulder. We can swing our arms around in a circle. When we were kids, we used to like to climb trees and play on monkey bars, just like apes do. Chimpanzees laugh when they're tickled. Chimpanzees are extremely violent. Chimpanzees do murder, they do cannibalism, they do land theft, just like humans. And bonobos are sexually immoral in God's eyes because they do homosexuality. Bonobos do pedophilia, bonobos. So all these bad human traits that we get are from apes. So if you want to learn about human behaviour, look to primatology. And if you look at primatology, that is the study of primates, you will discover where human behaviour comes from. And we are apes. Now, chimpanzees aren't evolving into humans, and neither are bonobos evolving into humans either. They're evolving into something randomly. Evolution doesn't have a goal or a purpose, it's just mutations. And as we know, we don't know how old the universe is, but the universe may have always existed. Atoms may have always existed. Living things are a lot older than we thought. We don't know exactly when they started. There's so much we don't know, and there's probably so much scientists may never discover. Never discover. But because we don't know the answers, it's so easy to say, God did it. And it looks designed. Everything looks designed. Well, if we make a watch, someone must have made us. A snowflake example has 6 sides. You look at a snowflake, every snowflake looks like it's been carved, made. No, those ice crystals follow a chemistry pattern. And they make the shapes. They've all got 6 sides and that. And things follow nature. Now, I don't like to call nature Mother Nature because mothers are supposed to be caring and kind, but nature is very cruel. Hyenas eating baby gazelles as they're being born, eating them alive, is not very motherly. So I say that nature is God. I don't call her Mother Nature because mothers are kind and loving, but nature is God. We are part of nature. We are primates and we die. We die. If chimpanzees go to heaven, neither do we. Chimpanzees aren't going to get a resurrection. Neither are we going to get a resurrection. And we have to accept the fact that we're mortal, we die. It's not a punishment, and death drives evolution. How death drives evolution? Without death, there is no future generations with mutations of change. Because if we don't die, the planet gets overpopulated, and I'm 65 years old, and I will probably die in the next 5 to 15 years. So I'll make it to 80, and I've had a great life. Life is the prize. Life is the gift. You're lucky you were born, and we still don't know exactly what happens at death. Fair enough. But most scientists do not believe in life after death. And when things die, they stay dead, including Jesus. And if you want to believe in religion and gives you comfort, and that's good, you get comfort and community. But I just like truth, and I love truth. And what made me an atheist was basically reading the Bible. When you read the Bible, you find the God of the Old Testament is a jerk. The God of the Old Testament is a jerk. Jesus was supposed to come back in the 1st century. That's what he told his disciples. And as an atheist, I have a personal relationship with reality because imaginary friends are for 5-year-olds. And I love truth, and I don't believe in the supernatural. We don't need the supernatural in our life. If you can have it in your life if you want, but nature is super enough. Nature is super enough. And thanks for listening, and have a nice day. Bye then.